Greetings, dear beloveds. This is White Wolf. I'm going to start off by enacting protocols. Call upon the lilac fire dragon, my earth and water dragon, my earth and fire dragon, Quien's pink dragon, the black dragon from Saturn, and my golden orange dragon. Ezekiel, I got Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Sandalphon, Mariel, Mother Mary. Got Grandmother, Big Chief in the back, and the Tribal Women, Galactic Council. And so it is. I haven't done a live feed in a minute. We've been moving. We're in Springdale, Arkansas. It's a change of scenery. It's new energy coming in. We got sage burning. And usually I am a healer. My name is White Wolf. And please share out to all the groups that you can. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm not gonna do healing tonight. I'm just gonna have a little chat with all of you. I'm just gonna converse with all of you. I'm gonna smoke my cigar, and I'm gonna share out to all of the groups. My lovely girlfriend's gonna help me out, who is Morningstar. She's gonna help me out. So we got a page, we got a YouTube channel, Morningstar and White Wolf, I Am Movement, and Thomas Sawyer made a new page called The Spiritual Rebels. It's a great page, so please check it out. I'm going to share to our page firstly, and then she will share out to all of the groups. So please be patient with me, my laptop isn't the fastest. And I will share out to some groups on my phone, and we will get this jump started, and I will move this sage. And so we are live. If you have a coffee, a cigar, do what you need to do. And I will share out. Oh, that's myself. I'm going to share out to the Spiritual Rebels, and please share out as I'm sharing out. Alrighty, so without further ado, it's strange times with the collective. We are in a time of turmoil. Things are spiraling out. The dark is trying to fight its way in. We have the election going on. But I want people to kind of divert from that belief system, from that negativity. If we focus on that negativity, if we resonate in that, it's going to consume us. So what we need to do as a collective, as light beings, as star seeds, as the oracle of love, light, and wisdom, we have to try to understand that the light will always prevail, and God's source energy and our higher self will always lead us into the direction that we need to go in. So no matter what happens during this election, no matter what happens in terms of people going to the dark side, in terms of just focusing on the negative, we just always have to know that God will steer us in the right direction, that the light will always prevail above all odds, and it will always succeed. And it will never fail, because the world is always moving, it's always changing, it's always reinvigorating itself. And just because things are a little bit chaotic right now does not mean that it's going to be that way forever. It really means it's just trying to weed out the bad apples, and I kind of described this in the live feed I did with my lovely girlfriend Morningstar and Sally Love. But I just sort of wanted to get back on the saddle. I wanted to get back on the horse, if you will, and do a live feed for all of you and connect with all of you. And you're probably wondering, because we've been moving, we moved to Springdale, Arkansas, and it speaks to my masculinity. so tremendously. There's just such a cowboy way about it. There's just such a... The people are nice here, and there's just so many monuments and so many great things. It's truly the natural state. But we need to do our inner work. We need to face ourselves. We need to see what our higher self wants from us. And we need to understand that we have to stay on the path. And we can't get too caught up in what's going on in the regular world, because that's not what really matters. The election does not matter. Reality itself is an illusion. And if we keep believing in the illusion, we are out of touch. So the people that are trying to be of service, they're trying to amass a following like I am, that's when you know that people are so out of touch and they're in the dark, and we need to clean up this mixed bag of vibrations that we call our planet, if you will. But I wanted to talk about standing in our dominance and having that disrespectful respect, if you will. A lot of people misconstrue ego and confidence and dominance with being something really, really negative. And I kind of wanted to touch on that. So, when you've done something for a really long time, you know when someone's full of shit. You kind of know when someone not isn't as good as you, but you know that they're kind of just talking out of their ass. It's like if you acted on a set of a TV show for a long, long time, and you know the character, you know the lines, you know your character, you've been on there for a long time, and then some guy tries to come on the set and you guys don't have quite the same chemistry as maybe once your other co-star. You know, it's like maybe being on a basketball team and you've played with a shooting guard for many, many years, and all of a sudden this new guy comes along and you don't jive with him well. You guys don't have very good chemistry. You guys don't have, that teamwork. Well, that kind of ties in with us as light workers. We sort of go and change and evolve in the physical body. We're an evolved spirit in the physical body. But we just get to this point where we want people to fucking take us seriously. And when I started out doing this, I knew for a long, long time that I didn't care if people liked me. I didn't care if people didn't like what I said. Now, I did learn a lesson when I had a previous live feed where, in a sense, I was doing readings for people. And none of them paid, And I got up on a live feed and I kind of exercised my authority and said, hey, all of you did not pay. I gave you readings, I told you the rules, and you broke them. And that's why I don't do live feeds and do free readings for people. It's because there's people that are spiritual vampires that want to suck off your energy. They want to suck the life force out of you. And then at some point, and it's not ego. It's not ego. It's dominance. You have to stand in your authority, and you really just have to want people to take you serious. Like when I get on a live feed, I feel as if I'm sitting here in my throne and I'm in white wolf mode, and there is no one in here that's gonna interrupt me or talk over me and try to steal the show. This is my show. This is my podcast, if you will. And some people might misconstrue that with ego. But in a sense, we have to have that dominance within us. Because if we don't have that dominance within us, you're going to have people walk over you. And at some point, you can be inviting. You can be, it's not always rainbows and butterflies all the time. And I'm not saying people can't smile. I'm not saying people can't be more open. I'm not saying that at all. But there's nothing wrong with being a little closed in and a little serious about what you're doing, a little more professional about what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that. Still have grace, still have the inner radiance that is with you that has got your following. Don't turn another leaf and go to the dark side. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you have to be dominant, and you have to see, and you have to be on a live feed as if everyone is your children. As if everybody in there is your kid or your audience or your following. Or you're being of service and you're trying to teach people to stand in their authority. And I think a lot of the younger generation needs to have that disrespectful respect. Because if you don't, you're just limited. You're limiting yourself. And it goes into a whole plethora of things. Standing in your dominance, standing in your authority. You know, at some point or another, we're going to host retreats, and they're going to be high dollar. But nobody takes in consideration the amount of time and effort and energy and professionalism that takes in doing retreats. I mean, you got to do a 3-day retreat, and you got to have snacks, you got to have where people can park, and all sorts of different stuff. So, you know, if people are not willing to hear a grown-up ass message, they're not in the right spirit, generally. And so ego is when someone acts like they have this godlike concept where they inflict their pain on everybody else. Because they haven't healed, they haven't done the inner work, and they have this godlike concept, and they're like, oh, things manifest because of me. You wouldn't have been here because of me. Because I'm saying this, I'm doing this on a live feed. You know, that's ego. That's like you thinking that you're the Messiah when Source and your higher self is what is experiencing this experience and helping you manifest the manifestations that you so desire. So, confidence is you standing in your authority, giving the truth, not worrying about the backlash, being authentic, and not giving a shit. Rather, if someone got their feelings hurt, rather someone didn't like what you had to say, or someone, kind of took it the wrong way and saw it as ego, when really it's just your dominance. And it's like, you can be a nice guy or a nice gal all you want all day, but there's going to become a point where you're going to have to be a master, and you're going to have to take this seriously, and you're going to have to be more professional, and you're going to have to not only step on some toes, but you're going to, piss off a lot of people in amassing your following, trying to reach people, trying to teach them to have their voice. Because people don't have a voice, and I didn't have one. I didn't have a voice for a very long time, and I felt shut out for a lot of my life. I felt shut out, and I felt like I couldn't stand up and use my voice to the best of my ability. And it's like, I felt like I've changed in the last year. I felt like I've progressed so significantly. And I look at some pictures of myself a year ago, and it's like I almost aged like 5-10 years. Like, my hair's different, I look different, I talk differently. I'm always and it's like grandmother, God source energy, my higher self have been working on me very, very intently. Because they're trying to teach me how to do it in a way where I'm teaching people and I'm trying to talk to you all as if you are my spiritual children, because I know in my lifetime that I'm never going to have kids, and that I'm going to have a bunch of people who are complete strangers and they're going to be my kids. And I have to not only drive the point home, but I have to guide them on the path of enlightenment. And if you say that you're not amassing a following, we're all trying to have a following. It's not that we want people to see us. It's not that we want people to just pander to us. It's really us trying to reach the people that never step foot into a church. And that's the voice that I want to be, and that's the legacy that I want to hold in my life. And I know that I'm going to do great things, and I'm going to do great things with Morningstar. Me and her are like a dynamic duo, and our relationship was supposed to happen. It was prophetic. And, it's all about being more serious about yourself, being more serious about how you carry yourself, how you are on a live feed. And quite frankly, I'm not the best at this. I'm not Gandhi. I'm not Abraham Lincoln, or, I'm not. But I've learned that people, and shield yourself. One of the things, having your own dominance, is shielding yourself. Because one day you're going to have to, hug people and get kind of close with them, but not feed into their energy. They're your kids, and you got to realize when you're in a relationship, you have to protect that. You can't, be free to people so they don't feed on your energy. So one way to really stand in your dominance is to have that confidence. Know that you're your own kind of God. Know that you are the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. Because if you don't sort of exercise your truth in a way where you don't care about the backlash, that's being in your own dominance. And it's going to come a point in time where I'm going to have nice suits, on my feeds and stuff, and I'm going to carry myself in a different way later down on the road, where it's going to seem like it's not a matter of not being approachable, but to just not have people want to fuck with you and your energy, and to stand in your power and to stand in your authority, and not let anyone try to dictate what you do. No toxic people. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's friends. That means that you hold true to the vision no matter what it costs you. No matter what happens, because you're going to have trials in doing this. But in the end, it will never affect you. But you will leave a legacy, and you will leave your mark on humanity. And that is your dominance. So, please don't misconstrue ego with confidence and dominance. Because those are very, very, very different things. There is nothing wrong with having confidence within you. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be dominant and looking at the collective and saying the truth, even when it truly hurts. To not be afraid to lose everything that was supposed to fall away out of your old reality and the people that you lost, because God will put a complete stranger in your life, which He did to me, and it will utterly change your life. And maybe that person will teach you to have a voice. And maybe that person will teach you to have that disrespectful respect. Maybe that person will try to elevate you and tell you to do something different with your hair and be more confident, be more radiant. Follow your own inner radiance, not what other masters are saying. You become the ascended master. You become the inner radiance. That is you being in your dominance. And there's nothing wrong with having a shield. It does not mean ego. It does not mean it's a bad thing to kind of be closed in. I'm not saying not be vulnerable, but put black salt around yourself before you do your live feed. Like, that's exactly what I did before my live feed, was put black salt around me, because I didn't want to be open and inviting other things that I did not want. I didn't want to invite shit that does not need to be in my energetic field. That's dominance. That's being a master. And it's like, I see myself like a year ago, and I'm like, that is not even the same person. I saw a darker version of myself. I saw a person that was looking for happiness. And I was dark. I looked at my eyes. I looked at my presence. And I remember it was the first picture of me and Morningstar together when we first met. And I was dark, and I needed healing, and I needed help. I needed to deconstruct a lot of the things that was happening in my life, my job, my family, my friends. I had to rid myself of that so I can be this white wolf. So I can be who the person that I'm sitting here on this camera talking to you today, using my words of wisdom as heart healing, not having to use crystals or even doing stupid mudra, but just the fact that I'm talking to all of you and connecting with you and trying to help you find your confidence, your voice, your inner guidance, your guidance system, your blueprint that's called desire. And once you are on this path, you'll see that your presence just goes up like an elevator. And you're more open and vulnerable, and you're more beautiful. Your hair looks better. Your eyes are much lighter, instead of being kind of drab and dark and mysterious, but you're more open. And it's like I almost aged 10 years in one, because I know that I was fast-tracked on my ascension path. But when you have someone that comes into your life, a complete stranger like I did, please take heed of that, because that is the most beautiful partnership you can ever ask for. And not only God Source Energy was working on my behalf, but people on the other side were working on my behalf. And I was told my sister told me on the other side, and I will share this, and this always stuck with me and helped me find my dominance and helped me protect myself and shield myself and stand in my truth and exercise it. My sister on the other side told me one time that there's no other way around it, White Wolf. You have to do what you have to do. What do you think she meant by that? She meant follow the path of enlightenment and let this woman who's came into your life and God Source Energy and your higher self and lead the legacy that you both are going to make together, and follow the path of enlightenment. Find your voice and leave your mark on humanity. And that's what my sister on the other side told me. Leave your mark on humanity. Because I had to do it no matter what. There was no other way around it. And that is the same thing for all of you. You guys can fight this. You guys can tussle with yourself all you want. But at the end of the day, you have a voice. You have to attain your dominance. You have to obtain your truth. And you have to stand in your authority. Not care about the blowback. And you have to shield yourself. And you have to have that dominance. And you have to have confidence, not ego. Bring the masculine and the feminine. Bring it together. That is sheer dominance. When you bring those two aspects of yourself together, there is no ego. There is no inflicting your pain on people. There's only love and service and ecstasy and bliss and joy and wonder and enlightenment, the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. So, in a sense, I wanted to make this video. I felt compelled because I feel like there's a lot of people that are afraid to go live. I feel like there's people dwelling in this election. I feel like there's people dwelling in the negative because the world's always moving. Past, future, present is always moving, and it does not matter. It does not matter what happens in this illusionary reality that we live in because we manifest the reality that we so desire. And we have to understand that the light will always prevail. And it's really this time in the collective where we're going to see who is going to remain and who is going to spin out. And we have to understand that we can run from ourselves all we want to. But ultimately, it's up to you to find that enlightenment. There's no one that can guide you. There are people that will be placed in your path, that will be your spiritual friends, that will be guides and teachers, but you have to be your own teacher. You have to be your own master. That is the only way to even have dominance. That is the only way to, find your voice. If you exercise that truth and you invoke the dragons and the angels and your guides and your higher self and source. And I've been having a lot of inner work done with myself subconsciously that I don't really know about. And I've had Morningstar tell me that they're working on you, how you talk, how you converse, how you handle things, how you change and you grow, and they're growing you up so fast. And she's been telling me this for 6 months, but here recently she's been telling me that they've been really reprogramming me so vastly that it's astounding. And that is also what is taking place here. Everybody wants to dwell on the negative. And I'm not saying that it's always rainbows and butterflies. I don't say that at all. But at the same time, we're the light. We're source. We're our own source of information. And that the world will always go in a good direction. It will always work itself out. And we can talk about food shortages. We can talk about all this other horse shit that doesn't really fucking resonate. That doesn't even compute with me, because that's dwelling in the dark. We should dwell in the light. And really, kind of losing my train of thought here, but at the same time, we have to just progress and change and just go with the flow, and just understand that there are people, there are masters that we're not going to resonate with. There are spiritual friends that we're not going to resonate with. But we just have to maintain that dominance. We just have to have shields up. We have to be protected. We have to be intelligent about this, and we have to be cognizant. And I would like to, give a shout out to Thomas Sawyer for really talking about people being cognizant about what we're doing, how we're treating each other. And I will say that I am not the best at this. I am not the best at handling situations because I do have a temper about me, and I am a little hard to get along with. And I have to admit those things. And I try to admit things and try to get a little more vulnerable on my live feeds, because if we don't admit those things about ourselves, we're not doing the inner work. I gotta admit sometimes I'm wrong, even though maybe in that moment I didn't admit that I'm wrong. But you have to learn to agree to disagree. And whenever I watch Thomas Sawyer, he has such grace within him that is so beautiful looking at his presence. I mean, there has been such a change in Thomas, and it's so amazing because I love seeing that, because Thomas Sawyer is also one of the guys I really look up to, and he's a very good leader, and he's a very gifted person, and I trust him so much. And he was one of the guys I really looked to when I started out doing my live feeds and doing my healings. I would watch what he kind of does, and I took a lot from that. But then I made my own signature, because once you make your own signature and you create it and you put it out to the world and your higher self makes it, then that's you becoming your own master. That's you becoming your own guidance. Oh. Morningstar knocked the camera a little bit, but it's okay. So, I want you all to know, no, Thomas is not my mentor, but he is a mentor to all of us. He is a leader to all of us, Mystical Gypsy. So, pay attention to him when he does his healings. Rewatch some of my stuff and pay attention to what I'm doing. We're all teachers. We're all, guiding people. We're all trying to teach people our own kind of stuff, and then you have to take that inspiration and surround yourself with it, and then put it to fruition, and that's how you and it's like he, answers spiritual questions and stuff like that. So no matter who you take inspiration from, no matter if it's Master Co, Tony Robbins, Bentinho Massaro, whoever it may be, which I'm a big fan of Bentinho. And I like how he's kind of shielding himself a little bit more and taking himself more seriously. And I feel like a lot of us have to kind of do that. We mistake it for ego. So you can take inspiration from everywhere, but then you have to become that inspiration. Then you have to become the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. The oracle, you're channeling your guides, your higher self, and the angels and dragons and whatever. And then love is the service that we impart on one another. And then light, we are the spiritual technology. And it's either you eat from the tree of life or the tree of knowledge. And I'm sorry, it's either life or death. You have to pick one. It's either you want life or you want death. Because when you have too much knowledge, it always leads to death. I don't know why that came up. And then wisdom is the inner intuition that's been with us since the dawning of mankind. We've had this inner knowing with us since the dawning of mankind. So I'm going to conclude this, but I want you guys to really stand in your dominance. Shield yourself. Use black salt. Burn sage. Whatever you need to do. And be confident. Have that disrespectful respect. There's nothing wrong with that. there's actually something about that that really speaks to me. Because if we don't have that, then we're just going to get walked on, and people aren't going to take us serious if we're too, inviting. And then we're going to invite things that we don't want. So don't do that. There's nothing wrong with having a little shield. I'm not saying don't be vulnerable. I'm not saying don't be afraid to, be happy and be cheery. But you have to protect yourself, and you can't use your own energy all the time. That's why I didn't want to necessarily do a healing last night, because last night I did an intense healing with Sally Levin Morningstar. So, in a sense, we have to protect ourselves, and we have to really look at our health and how that affects us. So, I'm going to conclude, but I want all of you to really feed into your confidence. Don't get a big head about you. Don't use ego to inflict your pain on people. But I want you to stand in your dominance, and I really want you guys to shield yourselves. And I really want you guys to protect yourselves. Black salt, sage, and literally saying clear, like Thomas Sawyer said, to an entity that is that has infiltrated your home. Just saying that, and just opening the door and saying, "Get the fuck out," is really standing in your dominance. So we just have to have that. If we don't, we're going to have people walk all over us, people. And you don't want that. You don't want people walking all over you. Because then people aren't going to pay when you do readings, and then people are going to be like, "Oh, I want a refund because you didn't respond so quickly." I mean, you got to let that shit go. And it's either people are going to take from you or not. It's either you watch or you don't. And you have to kind of like, okay. And from the get-go, I didn't care what people thought about what I was doing. I didn't care what people thought about me. I didn't care what if they liked it or not. It's not a matter of you liking it or not. It's a matter if you want to hear the truth or you don't. And God's source energy is always moving a message through me. So you're not necessarily responsible for what you said on a live feed, and you should not go back on what you said on a live feed, and that's also standing in your dominance. Because your higher self is going to say something, and then you're going to rewatch it back and you're like, "Wow, I can't believe I said that." So really, 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 really stand in your authority. Don't care what people think, and protect yourselves and shield yourselves, and don't let anybody infiltrate you. Only surround yourself with people with the same vibration, and surround yourself with good energy. Be more positive. That is the only way. Ask, believe, and receive. The Oracle of Love, Light, and Wisdom is the only way to true happiness. And your higher self will always find that inner love that you have with yourself. That is the only way to find it. So, without further ado, I'm going to come to a close. I know I've said that 3 times now, but I'm going to come to a close. This is White Wolf. Maybe another day I will do a healing, but I hope this message was a healing, because we have heart healing with our words of wisdom. And if we literally get on here and spark something within somebody that made them want to do great things, then you've done your job. If you've already saved 1,000 people, you've done your job, but don't stop there. I want 20,000 people to watch. I want to host retreats in Costa Rica. And that's what it's going to go to. And unfortunately, sooner or later, me and Morningstar are going to have to rise, up and our prices up on our readings. So we're running a $60 special. If you want to go to the I Am movement, please do so. But we're going to have to go up, and that's just the way it's going to be. Be more professional, be more dominant, be more authoritative. and be the oracle of love, light, and wisdom. I hope you all have a good night. This is White Wolf signing off, and so it is. You'll have a blessed one.